Welcome to episode 30 of the Loane Hockey Podcast, where today we're going to be talking about day one of the Hlinka Gretzky Cup, and we're going to be talking about some standout players from yesterday as well. Now, the Hlinka Gretzky Cup is obviously a very intriguing tournament for players, and being able to watch some early draft eligible players and being able to watch players who are not only eligible for this coming draft, but the next coming draft after that. So there's a lot of different players on many different teams that are also eligible for future drafts beyond the 2025 NHL draft. So you look at the makeup of the prospects and how many really skilled and really talented players there are in this year's Hlinka tournament is really intriguing. And so what we'll do is we'll go through some names and we'll give some brief reports. And some of these games I saw highlights, other of the games I saw more of them. So it really depended on the game and what I was able to see and stuff like that. But there were some players that obviously stood out. And when you're scouting and when you're looking for players specifically, sometimes players come right to your eye. Other times you notice the players right away because you know them by reputation or name or so on and so forth. So with Canada, obviously, we'll start with Gavin McKenna. And Gavin McKenna was obviously dynamic, had multiple point game yesterday, and Canada's 10-0 win over Switzerland. And what was really noticeable about McKenna, and obviously he's the cousin of Connor Bedard, so and he's also eligible for 2026, that NHL draft. When you look at his game, and a lot of his games and a lot of his frame is built slightly like Trevor Zegras, where you see the shiftiness of playmaking and how well he can move under contact and inside small area space. And he's obviously a lanky guy, so that helps him being able to slip around pressure more easily than other players. When I look at his game, what's really intriguing about his puck skills is how sometimes I notice his puck positioning. He's not afraid to hold pucks in front of him, but when he holds pucks in front of him, he does it to lure guys in. So he lures defenders in. That way, when he's able to lure the guys in, he's able to manipulate or make a move around them, and then he's able to find a way to create a shot off that if he's in the offensive zone, toe drag release, or manipulate through the triangle within the defender as well. And Emil Guite, I don't know if I said that name right, out of the QMJHL, another really intriguing name for this coming draft class. Again, a player who's slightly built like Trevor Zegras in that sense, but has a lot of dynamic skill, dynamic playmaking. He had a really slick goal, for which period it was, but he toe dragged around a forechecker, then came in and beat the goalie clean. Really nice shot, really nice release. But I like his puck skills. I like his shot. I like his playmaking. I'm really curious to see what more Gite has in store in the QMJHL this season. There's a lot of flashiness and also subtleness to how he handles the puck. He can handle the puck in off to the side of his body, but when he's handling the puck, he's really good at being able to manipulate and being able to incorporate some deception and handle pucks from a larger radius of space compared to other players as well. Matthew Schaefer, captain. What was really elite about Schaefer was his pucks transporting, and he plays for the Erie Otters. He's going to potentially be a top 10 pick in this coming draft class. And he sure looks that way with the way he's playing so far and how he could translate that to the rest of the tournament. Really good puck transporter, really consistent decision making, really consistent with his first pass, ability to make passes that create efficiency in the offense, efficiency in the transition game. And with Schaefer, you're getting a guy who plays with pace. So he plays with pace in his mind, but he also plays with pace within his passing. He plays with pace within how he utilizes other elements within the game as well. And he's so all around effective already at this age. It makes me hard not to believe that he could be at least a 60, 70 point guy in the OHL this year with how not only well rounded he is, but offensively he's actually very gifted as well. There's a little bit, and obviously they're different sizes. I believe Matt's around 6'1", but I see a little bit of Sam Dickinson in him compared to last year's draft class or this past draft class, where you see the roundedness, you see the offensive efficiency, and you see the whole package in terms of being able to provide leadership on ice, off ice, and all sorts of different skills on the ice as well. But Schaefer is probably the best defenseman on day one, and he was really intriguing to watch. He was awesome in every single situation, shutting down guys. He had a few goals, a few really nice goals, activating downhill and activating in the interior of the offensive zone too. So He was really intriguing. Reese Hamilton was another guy I liked a little bit. I didn't notice too much from him, too much flash or anything like that. But Reese Hamilton was another really intriguing player and another really intriguing defenseman on Canada, where he was moving pucks up crisply. I saw some lateral playmaking elements and lateral outlet passes from him that were really nice. And his first play, his first decision, ability to make heads up plays, which is really intriguing as well. And you look at his game and he moves well. He's got a little bit of size to him, but the fluidity is also what's really intriguing because some players they have size, they can skate, but they don't necessarily have fluidity in that same realm. So he has both, and he was really intriguing in that sense as well. I didn't really notice too many players from many other countries, but from Czechia, an easy one was Adam Banak by far. And Adam Banak was elite last year in the Hlinka, and this year he's already he's already shown a lot, even just a sample size of games playing for Czechia. He's so good, so dynamic. His puck's transporting, but his ability to maneuver, his ability to play with speed, play with relentless tenacity, play with relentless competitiveness within his forechecking and his detail and his attention to angles. You look at the makeup of that and how competitive he is and how much more competitive he can be in the future because of his ability to provide that relentlessness within his own game and within his own play. And he's so skilled, so fast, very dynamic within his feet, very shifty. I already did a shift by shift analysis of one of his Czech extra league games. He's going to be playing with Youngstown in the USHL next year. So that's going to be good to develop his North American style game on smaller ice and also round out his game a little bit further as well. There's potential he could go in the first round this year, but realistically, I see him being more of a second round guy. I see with a player that has that much skill and that much competitiveness at that size, it's really hard to imagine that type of player slipping past the second round. Especially there's still emphasis on small players in today's game, but I wouldn't say there's as much. And it's not necessarily underrated if you're a small player nowadays. You still have to have other elements of your game that stand out. But the thing is with Banaki, he has those elements. That's what's really intriguing with him. He has those elements that stand out. It's just more a matter of how much and how far can he actually go. There's a lot of similarities between him and LJ Mooney that I've made before. LJ Mooney's the same size, pretty much the same size. And he has the ability to be a first rounder too. And with in my mind, he's without a doubt a first rounder. So if he could be a first rounder, in my mind, Banak is surely a first rounder as well. He was really intriguing. And then we're gonna get to USA. I noticed Matthew Lansing a little bit. Again, I'm not gonna go into depth on players, especially if I didn't see much of them isolated from an isolated perspective. I don't want to go into them as much because that's not fair to my own evaluations. And I don't like how when I evaluate players solely on just a glimpse, something like that, I never get good evaluations. Matthew Lansing, though, he stood out. I like Blake Fiddler. And he's obviously the son of Vernon. He's playing in the WHL. What's interesting about Blake, I remember scouting when he was playing with the Dallas Stars Elite. I believe he's playing U16 a few years ago. He's very relaxed in his demeanor, moves pucks well. He can move pucks especially well moving north. He's crisp on his passes. He's good on his outlets. Two-way guy who can handle situations as a defenseman, transitional situations. I like Matthew Grimes. I remember scouting a lot of this USA squad. Matthew Grimes was good as well. He was a player who showed some mobility. I thought he was engaged in the offensive zone, and that's how he likes to play, especially coming out of midget, where he would love to play in the offensive zone. And obviously, adapting to Sioux Falls is going to be very important for him, and adapting to the USHL further is going to be very important for his development and his ability to potentially get drafted as well. And so with Sweden, that's the last group we'll go over because Sweden was really interesting. I liked a few guys. I liked Philip Ekberg, and I don't know necessarily where some of these players play since some of these players, it's my first time seeing them. So it's a lot to take in, especially for a tournament when you're trying to watch everything on day one. Victor Klingsell was really good. I like him a lot. I really like his smart air spacing, his ability to use crossovers, how well he was attacking on line rush, his ability to engage himself in offensive situations, in interior space and perimeter space. He was a threat off the rush. He was a threat in transition, a threat moving laterally. He can score. He can make plays. He can crash the net. So there's a lot of versatility in his game. Right now, to me, he looks like a first round player, even though I've only seen him once. It's sometimes hard to judge players like that, but when you see a player that pops out like that, you're like, yeah, you know that player has the ability to become at least a first rounder. Lingsell was really good. I liked Philip Ekberg, and I believe he scored the first goal of the game. And he was buzzing. He had a motor on him, a competitiveness to him, similar to Adam Bannock in a sense with that competitiveness and that tenacity with Ekberg. And he's very fast, dynamically, not necessarily dynamically skilled, but dynamic with his feet and his movement within his feet, which I really liked out of him. So Ekberg was really good. And then Jacob East Wozniak. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but I know that's a big name for the 2025 NHL draft. He's a big guy, 6'3", and he can continue to gain some mass and really round out that 6'3" frame. But he's a shooter and he can shoot really good. He can shoot with power, precision, accuracy. He can shoot with a little bit of deception. He can shoot off weight shifts, off 1 foot. He can shoot in versatile ways, which is really good. Talking about shooting translatability to the next level. With Wozniak, he was really good as a playmaker. I noticed some soft touch to his playmaking, and especially in the offensive zone, making smarter plays, smarter decisions, touch passes, that type of thing. And defensively, he wasn't bad either. He wasn't necessarily super relied upon player, but I saw some positioning elements and some positional elements that went into his game that were intriguing inside the defensive zone in order to shut the half ball down, shut the point down, making sure he's maintaining awareness of the play by shoulder checking, pre-scanning, those types of things. And he was really good. And those are the players that I noticed mainly on day one of the Hlinka tournament.